Can you turn the sound off? Okay, thanks, Doug. Good afternoon, and welcome to the building dedication of the LPS Science Focus Program at Lincoln Children's Zoo. I am Kurt Glather. I am the principal of this program and have the great pleasure and fortune to have worked for Lincoln Public Schools the past 15 years. I'm your MC today, and as we begin, I want to share a brief story about a man who had a profound effect on the field of science. See if you know who this might be. And as you hear the story, consider the students that may come to this program in pursuit of their interests and passions. Equipped with only his 5 senses, man explores the universe around him and calls the adventure science. Edwin was born in Missouri in 1889, the son of an insurance executive, and his family moved to Chicago 9 years later. At his high school graduation in 1906, the principal said to Edwin, "I've watched you for 4 years, and I have never seen you study for longer than 10 minutes. And he paused, leaving young Edwin in the crowd wondering what was going to be said next, and he said, "Here is a scholarship to the University of Chicago." So as it turned out, the scholarship was also awarded to another student by mistake, and so the scholarship money had to be halved, and Edwin had to supply the rest. He paid his college expenses by tutoring, working in summer school, and in his junior year by obtaining a scholarship in physics and working as laboratory assistant. He finally obtained a degree in mathematics and astronomy. He was hired by New Albany High School, New Albany, Indiana, in the autumn of 1913 to teach Spanish, physics, mathematics, and coach basketball. His popularity as a teacher is recorded in the school yearbook and dedicated him to our beloved teacher of Spanish and physics, who has been a loyal friend to us our senior year, ever willing to cheer us on, help us both at school and on the field, and we, the class of 1914, lovingly dedicate this book to you. When his high school term ended in May of 1914, he decided to pursue his first passion and return to the University of Chicago to begin his PhD. Above the distortion of the atmosphere, far, far above the rain clouds and light pollution, the Hubble Telescope has an unobstructed view of the universe. Hubble's launch and deployment in April of 1990 marked the most significant advance in astronomy since Galileo's telescope. So we salute the spirit and passion of Edwin Powell Hubble, demonstrated in his pursuits of science. As we move toward the year 2020 and beyond, let us as teachers, staff, community members dedicate ourselves to helping our students discover their passions and interests in the pursuit of science and in science education. Today we have Dr. Steve Joel with us. It is my sincere pleasure in welcoming Dr. Steve Joel to the podium today. As our superintendent, Dr. Joel has provided the vision, the push that challenges us to look at education differently, creatively, and effectively. His efforts to help bring this building to completion is proof of his continued efforts and forward thinking that continue to help put our school district in an advantageous position today and for the future. Please help me welcome Dr. Steve Joel.
Thank you, Mr. Glather. And first, I just want to extend a very, very warm welcome to everybody that's here today, and for those of you that have been involved with the Science Focus program, either as a parent or as a student or as a grandparent or community leader, one of our staff, thank you. I mean, these sorts of projects take a great deal of planning. They also take a great deal of commitment, and we're very, very fortunate in the city of Lincoln because we're able to have viable and very valued community partnerships. And when I first came to Lincoln 10 years ago, and I came to this program, I thought to myself, wow, what a great thing. We have a chance to have students that can matriculate over to a zoo kind of an environment and learn about science and be in the midst of excellent teachers, excellent curriculum, but hopefully the kind of having the kind of impact that will give them a gateway to their future. And I know that's been the case. There's been an awful lot of success stories that have come from the Science Focus program, and we're most appreciative of the work of our staff and, of course, the partnership with the zoo, which, by the way, under John Chapo's leadership is nothing short of extraordinary in terms of the vision that he's had and the zoo's had, and more importantly, the community's had, because we exist because the community supports us. You know, when I think about Lincoln Public Schools, we're 42,000 plus students right now. We're growing very rapidly. We're a school district of choice, which means that students have options and opportunities. They can go to their home high school. They can go to any one of the focus programs that we have. I'll tease you a little bit and tell you, for those of you that have younger children, that probably in the next several years you're going to be hearing about some additional choices that we think are going to be very, very timely with regard to what students are interested in and what communities and states and countries need in terms of workforce. And I think that that's going to be exciting. But you can't do that if there isn't strong community partnerships and strong community support. And so for that, we're forever grateful. And in Lincoln, Nebraska, working with a Board of Education like I get to do, we have the governance that allows these kinds of concepts to be developed. And so this is nothing short of a tremendous sense of pride to be here today opening this. We've had several press conferences in the past where we came out wearing hard hats and, you know, just wondering, would this ever get done? And what is this going to look like? And honestly, I can't tell you where I'm standing today in relation to where we were then, but I do know it's a beautiful space. And it's a space that really will bring out the best in students and the best in staff. It's highly collaborative. It's built around standards-based content and, you know, hopefully inspires young people to be interested in the field of science. As Mr. Glather gave you that example, when we talk about science today, we know that STEM is really where the future is. And we know that when students can be ignited around these kinds of concepts and these kinds of experiences, it'll open up the entire world for them. Much like 30 or 40 years ago, when liberal arts was what everybody was leading us to and telling us about. That was a gateway. Today, it's STEM. So science, technology, engineering, mathematics, that's the future. That's the future of our country, and certainly the Science Focus program represents that. So congratulations to Mr. Glather, the staff here, and many, many thanks to John Chapo and for the tremendous community support we've had from our board and from you and community leadership. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Joel. He has served on the school board 8 years and is currently the school board president. Lanny Boswell and his family are longtime supporters of the Science Focus program, with one of his daughters, Mary, completing the program in 2015. Lanny graduated from Allen Consolidated High School in Allen, Nebraska, a town with a population of around 350 people. That experience has probably given him a unique experience and appreciation for our small, personalized environment. Lanny went on to graduate from California Institute of Technology with a Bachelor's of Science degree in electrical engineering. He is a father of 5 children, enjoys spending time with his family. His mother was a high school English teacher, and his father served on the school board many years. And I learned today that his grandfather and grandmother also served on the school board. And by the way, his favorite class was science. So let's welcome Lanny Boswell.
Thank you so much. I'm joined today by my board colleague, Annie Mumgard. Annie, would you please wave or stand? Thank you. And by former school board member, Matt Schulte, who was on the board when this program was approved. I feel so honored to be here today and to help celebrate the world-class LPS Science Focus program and its new facility. The Science Focus program was established in 1997 to give high school students the opportunity to pursue an alternative self-directed education that blends both traditional and non-traditional styles of learning. This program has long been recognized for the quality of its teaching and learning, as well as the quality of the community partnerships that make it possible. The board is deeply grateful to our friends at the Lincoln Children's Zoo, the City of Lincoln, and the generous community members who support the program. I also am grateful personally as the parent of a Science Focus Program graduate. My daughter Mary's experiences here, the opportunities for hands-on learning, and the kindness and dedication of its teachers and staff have helped shape the young scientist she is today. A young scientist, I might add, who is about to have her first paper published in the journal Food Webs. Thank you. The Science Focus Program has been the jewel of our district's public school choice programs. Specifically, it has been a diamond in the rough, a brilliant gem hidden within the rough exterior of portable classrooms and a functional but certainly not sparkling building. Those of us who know and love this program have always seen it as precious, priceless, and beautiful. Today, this polished program has a magnificent facility that is worthy of the quality teaching and learning that takes place within its walls. Thank you all for being here today, and congratulations to the LPS Science Focus Program.
So I recently found an article in the Lincoln Journal-Star from May of 2016. In the article, I read about a young zoo director that left his hometown zoo in South Bend, Indiana, for a gig at a little children's zoo in Lincoln, Nebraska. At the age of 29, as one of the youngest zoo directors in the nation, John Chapo figured he'd stay in Lincoln for a few years and move on. In his interview, John said, "I thought, well, who wants to live in Lincoln anyway?" But he quickly followed with, "I fell in love with the community, I fell in love with the zoo, and I fell in love." John recounted Wednesday at a ceremony honoring him for his 30th year of service in 2016 that he met his wife, Tracy, of 28 years, at the Lincoln Children's Zoo. Tracy was a beloved zookeeper, and together they have 3 boys, and 2 of those boys, Ian and Kyle, went to school here. That gig has turned into a career and a passion for John, as he is the president CEO of the Lincoln Children's Zoo. In the 33 years of the Children's Zoo, John Chapo has remained focused in staying true to the vision and the founder of Arnott Folsom, declaring in 1965, "Our zoo will offer more contact between people and animals than any other zoo in the world." The article on John ended with this quote, "We are touching lives, and that gets me up in the morning." John?
Thank you, Kurt. Very, very kind words. I'm honored to be here today. You know, it's been a long road. We're in a beautiful facility because I've heard the words multiple times: community, collaboration, partnership, youth. It's what's right. It's why I stayed in Lincoln, Nebraska after 33 years, okay, is part of it. I'm a lucky guy because I've worn so many hats over these years. You know, I was on the community focus group to, can we do a focus program? And I reached Denny Van Horn, who was one of the people at the time spearheading it through Lincoln Public Schools, and brought a proposal to the school board because there was something in common between the zoo's mission and Lincoln Public Schools mission. We're both about education. We're both about youth. It was a natural place to give birth to a great, great program. So I helped give birth to it. I've been the landlord of it for all these many years. Like Kurt said, 2 of my 3 sons are alumni of the Science Focus program. And speaking as a parent, this small community of learners was so powerful. Sorry. It was really neat when a freshman would sit down with a senior and have no barricades, no barriers of communication, complete respect for each other. And that's why the small community was so successful. They all wanted to learn and help each other. My sons became critical thinkers and analytical gentlemen who are extremely successful today because the skills, the attitude, and everything that was developed about them here, their 4 years of the Science Focus program. It's been really, really a phenomenal experience and a phenomenal partnership. And I could go on and ask Mary Kay Roth, I said, you want 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or an hour? Just keep it short, John. And that's not easy for me. But the very first zoo school, Science Focus program, sorry, I correct myself every time. It's Science Focus program, it's not zoo school. Barstow is still zoo school, isn't it? Yeah, I'm sorry, okay. But the very first picnic and gathering of a very small group of students. Everybody's going, Science Focus program at the zoo. I don't want my kid to be a zookeeper. Well, that's fine. There's not a lot of money in it, okay? But there's a group of students and the faculty, and everybody was just brand new at this, figuring out what this program was, what its content was, how the kids were going to get educated, I think every day the faculty came running in about 10 minutes before the students going, what the hell are we going to do today? Because nobody had done it before, right? But they always did it. They got it done. And they were likened to pioneers. You know, the zoo, you made mention to Arnett Folsom, he was a pioneer. He had a vision. He had a dream for Lincoln, Nebraska. Lincoln Public Schools has a vision for this program, okay, a dream. But nobody was really certain, so we were all pioneers in this program, giving birth to this program, growing these students, growing this phenomenal partnership. And Dr. Marilyn Moore, who was associate superintendent at the time, addressed the students that evening and the parents, because parents took great risk in allowing their children to come to zoo school, okay, because Science Focus program, sorry. Because they didn't know what their students were going to learn, but I can tell you that I've had parents come to me, especially back in the early days, saying, you saved my child, because you gave them the opportunity to be in a small community of learners. My child would not have graduated from high school if it wasn't for the Science Focus program, because they were able to connect with those faculty, connect with peers. It was so very, very powerful. And I'm going to quote out of the Keith County Journal by Lincoln's own Dr. John Janovy, retired professor emeritus from the university, a phenomenal, wonderful individual, author, speaker, educator. And he was writing about snails, because he was a pathologist. He studied snails, okay? And you're going, snails? Well, there is science in snails, and there's science in how the snails propagate and move on and expand their territories, their new habitats, because of changes, because of able to do that. So there's a really great chapter in here about a snail species out in the Lake McConaughey area, way out there. And he talked about pioneering, because all of a sudden they were finding the snail 15 miles away from where it had never been before. Somehow the king snail was able to get genes spread and have the snail spread into new habitat. And the quote is from his book is very simple, and this I will end my comments with this, because this is what I really believe the faculty, the parents, Lincoln Public School, the students were when they began and they started here. They were pioneers, much like our visionary, Mr. Folsom. Quote, I will be a pioneer. I will try things I've never tried before. I will gamble some stuff. Maybe I don't know just what yet, but if the Snail King can gamble trillions of eggs, I also can gamble some things to find my place and time. As Dr. Joe and Kurt and Lanny have said, students have found their way. They become physicians, veterinarians, physicists, organic farmers, scientists, economists, all kinds of phenomenal, successful youth who are not youth anymore. You know, when they graduated out there and they're 30s and 40s now. It's powerful. It's because they were pioneers. It's because of this rich environment. It's because people took a chance and they've grown. And I want to say thank you for letting me be here today, and thank you for Lincoln Public Schools for this 22 years plus of partnering for a great program. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, we still have 2 students to go, and Ms. Seiferlein. So when we think about the future, we have 2 of those young folks here tonight with us, so I'm excited to hear what they have to say. 4 years plus is a long time to work with someone as a teacher. Our teachers have the opportunity to do that with the students that come to this program, and they make huge impacts on them. Emily Seiferlein is our science department chair, and she's worked with the Science Focus program for the last 8 years. She's committed to educating students and continues to work to bring the field of science alive for students and to bring the students to the science of our world. Please welcome Emily Seiferlein.
Well, I think we can kind of sense a theme through all the speakers today, and mine's going to go right along with that. So thank you for being here. I'm pleased to be speaking on behalf of my colleagues and all of our students. I don't have to tell you that this place is special. We are here to dedicate a commitment by this community to a unique learning environment for our city's youth. And that is special. Lincoln made this commitment 22 years ago, and that commitment is continuing to grow and evolve. I'd like to share some of my observations of this evolution of SFP during my time. Before I became a teacher, I had never heard of the Science Focus program because I'm not from Lincoln or even Nebraska, and try not to hold that against me. When we moved here in 2002, it would still be several years before I knew of a place students call zoo. I was working in a soil chemistry lab, analyzing samples, writing papers, doing research, when I realized that if I had to weigh another 5.00 grams of soil, I might self-implode. I always knew I wanted to teach, I just hadn't gotten around to it. And so that is when I began my journey to arrive right here. As I earned my teaching credentials at UNL, I started hearing of a place where students did research, where there were plenty of elective science classes like astronomy, marine biology, and even advanced geoscience, and where a small staff and student body were truly in it together, a community where students called their teachers by their first names. What? And it sounded to me like a perfect gig. So of course, when it came time for me to student teach, I requested to be placed at SFP. And I did not get in. Bummer. But I did get placed somewhere. Go Knights. And then the next fall, I began teaching 9th grade science at North Star, only in its 3rd year. Go Gators. And I got used to kids calling me Ms. S because who, frankly, can pronounce Seiferlein? I loved working at LNS. I loved looking out into the faces of students that represented so many different cultures, all gathered together in a huge building on the north side of town. And I wouldn't have left there if not for this place. A community, a collection of portables and homemade signs, patched together labs, and a pond. A place where students have choice, a place where we can learn together, and saying, I don't know, is okay. A place where we push each other to do better, where I have come to know where I've truly come to know my students, their strengths, and how to help them through their difficulties. But the thing about zoo, about SFP, is that it actually doesn't matter that the portables were the oldest in the district, that for a time teachers had to pack up their classrooms every Friday afternoon, that private conversations had to happen on the back path, and our building flooded with each successive rainstorm. None of that mattered, because what is important is how a community of learning developed in that environment. In the early days, Sarah, Jim, Beth, Dee, Susan, and others cultivated this unique community with a group of 11th and 12th graders. They coined terms like Camelot and Zoo School. They initiated traditions like soup lunches, bowling outings, student-driven clubs, and research. Students conducted research projects every year. And like all things, SFP has evolved. It's grown, it's expanded. We welcome 9th and 10th graders. Class offerings have changed. Clubs have come and gone. Teachers and students have changed, and sometimes welcoming even an eager teacher from North Star. And that is perfect because we keep our roots in mind. We keep to our core. And to quote our website, a small community of mature learners participating in both traditional and non-traditional styles of learning, a place where students play an active role in defining their learning environment and education. And so here we are in this wonderful new space designed for us with our culture, our community in mind. Flexible learning spaces where students can learn and we can continue to grow, to evolve, all the while remembering our roots and how we became a community called Zoo. Thank you. I got another job, which is to introduce Theo Seivel, one of our seniors, and she's going to talk a little bit to you about what it's like to be a student here.
Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Theo Seivel, and I am a senior here at the Science Focus program. So this will be my 4th and sadly final year attending the school, but that's okay because as you can imagine, I have plenty of memories of being here for that much time. Memories that I believe I would not have been possible to gain at anywhere else, at any other high school. So looking back at my experiences here at the Zoo School, my favorites would have to be our annual school picnics. So basically, at the beginning and end of every school year, the whole Zoo family, the parents, the students, the teachers, the alumni, all come together to talk and to eat and just exhibit the meaning of community. Because that is what truly represents the purpose of this school, community. And yes, the Science Focus program presents an extraordinary education to every student who walks in its doors. But what makes it truly unique is its ability to provide a curriculum that also emphasizes the importance of kindness, inclusivity, and wonder. So for these reasons, I believe that the Science Focus program has been long overdue in getting this new building. Every year, every month, and every day, the teachers and staff of this school create a culture that not only inspires academic achievement and sparks curiosity, but also commits to making sure every student feels welcome. Yes, it was sad to see our old campus go, along with all the memories made there, but it has been a nice change to actually have working air conditioning and functional labs not inside portable buildings. The teachers, staff, and students have created a school that deserves every brick of this new building. And I know that when I have graduated, it will continue to uphold its remarkable reputation. So lastly, I just want to say thank you to this Lincoln community for making this one-of-a-kind education possible. Thank you.
Our last speaker, student speaker, is Ross Williams. He's also a senior.
Hello, everybody. I'm Ross Williams. I am a senior at the Science Focus program, and I've done all 4 years here. And I'd like to share with you some of the memories I've made and the progress I've made in the Zoo School, I guess. 4 years ago, I had just graduated from middle school. Eager to start high school, I started searching for things I wanted to accomplish. One of these things was doing something different and unique. Doing school in a different way, if you will. Eventually, I found zoo school, which my parents had been telling me about for quite some time, just dropping subtle hints here and there. But I never really thought about actually going to zoo school until I started my freshman year. And I'm glad they told me, because zoo school is probably the best thing that has happened to me throughout my 4 years of high school. When I first started, I had a small handful of friends from middle school that I didn't really talk to as much, but they decided to join as well. And through zoo school, I really got to know them better, and they became some of my closest friends. And it's also been nice because I've had the same 5, 6 teachers throughout the years, and you really get to know them too. And you get to know them on a one-on-one level, and it's kind of nice to call them by their first name instead of some random last name that you're never going to remember. I also think thanks to having these teachers as my same teacher for the same subject for 4 years, such as math, I think I enjoyed it a lot more than I would have with just some random teacher every year. The original buildings gave us a ton of great memories to carry on in our progression for a better school. I remember watching a Woody Guthrie movie in Mark Anderson's social studies class in Camelot Commons, and Emily's lab was right above, and the ceiling in Camelot Commons was not very good. It was kind of wavy. Whenever somebody stood up or was constantly shaking their leg in Emily's class, the entire ceiling would shake, and the projector on Mark's ceiling would shake as well. And it would make it quite difficult to see what was going on the screen. Another memory from the old building is right next door in Matt's math classroom. I remember I was taking a statistics test once, and right above Matt's room is also Emily's lab. There was this really squeaky faucet that whenever someone turned it on, it would just go ee, and it would stay on until someone turned it off, which is always quite annoying when you're trying to take a test. Another memory I have is the wall between Mark and Matt's rooms, which was basically nothing, I guess. It was a movable wall, so it wasn't the greatest. Sometimes we were trying to take notes in math class, and we could hear Mark's class having a lively discussion, which would result in Matt going over there to tell him to quiet down so we can actually get something done. That was always a funny break for us, which I really enjoyed that. Things like these really make the old building so memorable and will never be forgotten because of these reasons and memories. When we first heard that we were getting a new building with the zoo expansion, we were all pretty happy and pleased that we were finally getting a good building. Not only were we getting a new building, but we were getting a new place for our community to grow and thrive with plenty of room for new opportunities to take place. With this new building, we no longer have to walk all the way around the zoo in freezing temperatures in the winter. We can walk straight up to the new building and check right in at the front. Everything is also connected and easily accessible instead of 3 separate buildings. With the included elevator, we can now accept a lot more students, if they're handicapped, of course. And with the larger classrooms and hallways, we can take more students if we ever want to expand even more. This new building is also safer than the older ones because for any type of incidents we have occur outside the building, we can stay safe on the inside in case there's a threat trying to get in. We also have new places to study in, which we have when we have a free block with lots of natural sunlight included, so we can enjoy the outdoors while working, along with classrooms that we can learn in a little better without loud discussions being had on the other side of the wall. One thing I did really miss about the old building was that we had an outdoor area all to our own, along with a cafe right next door. And even though we don't have that now, the zoo is working to build a new cafe and recreational area right out here for us to experience and make more new memories. It's times like this that make me wonder what memories will be made here, like what will be the squeaky faucet of this building. Will it be all the boys with their cowboy boots on, clip-clopping down the hallway? That always makes Matt and Emily mad. Of course, one of those is me. What will replace Mark's lively discussions in his room? Will it be Robert going into the elevator and making that dinging noise? What will all these memories be? Well, the underclassmen they'll have time to make their own memories with plenty more years to come. And it gives us reason to be happy and enjoy our high school years even more because we have these memories. And thanks to Lincoln Public Schools, the Science Focus program, and the Lincoln Children's Zoo, there's a lot of good stuff in the forecast for the future, and it looks like it's going to be a great place to go to school. Thank you.
Job well done, both of you. Thea, nice job. So, I want to thank everyone that's here today, the alumni and teachers, those that are parents and our parent boosters who are also here. We started a new program this year with parent boosters. I'd like to say thank you to Danny Van Horn, Dick Spearman, John Neal, and Pat Hunter-Pirtle. Are you here? Can you wave? Danny was part of the actual original group that created this program and was principal. How many years, Denny? A few. Okay. You guys, as long as it's not about me. Come on up. Come on up, Denny. Come on up.
I'll make it real quick. He's a former student of mine.
I survived.
Yeah, I will tell you, I worked at Lincoln Public Schools for 38 years and the science-focused zoo school. I'll never change, Steve. Sorry. Zoo school is one of my favorite and best accomplishments. It really has done a lot for students and will continue. But in the early days, a lot of things happened that I had no knowledge of. And that was fine because that's how we freed things up and that's how we established a base for making this a different way of teaching and learning. The topper was one day it was snowing pretty hard outside and Susan calls me and she said, this was like noon. Susan calls me. No, it was noon. Susan calls me and says, hey, we sent the kids home early. And I said, Susan, don't tell me about those things in the future, but, you know, that's really a decision that Dr. Sco needs to make. So we probably aren't going to talk very much about that. So, but that's kind of how they ran this operation. And it paid off because it was the foundation for where this program is today. And I really appreciate the efforts of all you guys. So thanks.
Thanks, Danny. So, it's okay. It's yeah, the statutes of limitations is over. I'd like to recognize the current teaching staff. Matt Johnson, you stand up, please. Teaching math. Mark Anderson. John Graff. Mark James. There he is. Emily Seiferlein, obviously. Also here, Trudy Domeyer. She works with our special ed staff. And Amy Prophet, who is the executive secretary. So what I'm most impressed by is the legacy that people have left for others to enjoy. And so as we move forward in this building, I want to thank those that took the chance, went out and reached the pioneers and did those things that we are benefiting from now. In the next 22 years of this program, I hope we continue to challenge students to think creatively and follow their passions, to focus on solutions, not problems, that we hold a strong focus to our vision as well, where a unique community of learners are transformed through critical thinking and interaction with the world. Thank you for being here today.